Welcome to Coffee and Candor. This is Chris.
Ross.
Brandy.
Amber.
And we are going to talk about the I40 Bridge. The I40 Bridge, the one that we're talking about, goes across the Mississippi River. It is the main thoroughfare, one of only two that I'm aware of in Arkansas, to get from...
I know they said there was another one in the area. I don't know
how far the area is.
Yeah, like area they're talking about.
What kind of detour it causes.
And
I know they said what normally would be 30 minutes will be an hour. And that's probably if traffic's flowing normally.
So this is the primary way to get from the east of the Mississippi to the west of the Mississippi. And
37,000 trucks a day, or vehicles a day.
And didn't you say it was like almost 13,000 of them are semis?
Yeah.
That's your Amazon packages. That's your
because there's
FedEx,
a big distribution
UPS,
hub
in Memphis.
What scares me is that other bridge that all this traffic is going to use.
Yeah, and it's not used to it.
It's older. And
probably
what's going to happen with all this traffic?
It's probably going to destroy that one.
Let's talk about...
I'm hoping nothing happens while cars are on it.
Let's mention what happened to the I-40 bridge. It was found in a...
They were doing
an
routine inspection.
Right? Yeah. And found one of the I-beams...
They said cracked.
They said cracked.
This looks like it's completely
it was broken all the way through on one part, and then you showed me a picture of another one where it was a significant crack from these 3-inch rivets that are in this fucking thing. So that thing's... Man, I'd be surprised if they didn't have to totally rebuild that bridge. I mean, that's a primary structural component.
Oh, yeah, no, and I mean, when they first started talking about it, all the news stations kept calling it a crack.
Yeah,
then I started showing it's a complete break.
It looks like someone took like a blowtorch and just...
Well, it literally, one picture shows a guy holding a tape measure up to it, and it's like 1.5 inches apart.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it's just...
And it's offset, so it's clearly separated. And,
if that thing had failed, oh my God,
that'd have been thousands of people that would have had a bad fucking day.
Well, you remember when that...
Nobody's seen Mothman lately, have they?
Y'all remember when that happened in Oklahoma,
that
right?
happened in Oklahoma.
And it wasn't that many years ago.
Over the Arkansas River.
Yeah, over the Arkansas River going into Oklahoma. It happened to be...
when did that happen?
I don't remember, but I know Ginger and them had just visited and were on their way back, and they had gone over it just like an hour before it failed. So we didn't know that at the time. We just knew they were traveling. We were terrified.
Right.
And because it just a big, like an erector set, like they took out the middle and it just fell into the river.
Oh my God.
2002, May 26th of 2002.
How many people died in that?
2002, where were we?
14 deaths.
May, we were in Little Rock.
14 deaths
to go to Germany
and 11 injuries.
And
how many? 14?
11 non-fatal injuries. 14 deaths and 11 non-fatal injuries.
I'm surprised it wasn't a
well,
lot more.
And they
that
literally
bridge doesn't have the sort of traffic that...
No, it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
And the other thing is that bridge kind of goes on a rise, so literally... That thing fell and people were still driving off.
Because they couldn't see
it.
You know.
And what that had happened is a barge operator, apparently whoever was driving it, whether it was the captain or somebody filling in for him or whatever, had a heart attack or something. And the barge actually hit the bridge support.
And caused it to...
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it collapsed. And like I said, people for a minute were actually still driving off into it.
Yeah, and I mean, you're talking with the I-40, you're talking...
Well, and I don't know if people...
3,000 cars an hour, I think is what that comes up to, something like that.
That's a massive bridge.
Oh my God, and it would have been
37,000 a day.
What is that? I mean, if you average that out to 24, that's like 1,500 cars an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people realize this too, but I-40 actually goes from California all the way to North Carolina. It is a major thoroughfare from west to east to west for the United States, for the whole entire United States.
Yeah, and there's we know there are Amazon shipping points in Memphis. There's a FedEx terminal in Memphis. Almost every package that comes into this area goes through Memphis, you know.
And so that comes up to about a car if you spread it out evenly. That's a car every 2 seconds.
Yeah, you're never on that bridge where it's not packed.
And the other thing is, do this math. There are 12,500 semi trucks that go over that bridge a day.
That's 520 an hour.
520 semi trucks an hour.
I've never been on it where there's not at least one or two.
That's almost 9 semis a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That sounds about right.
Yep.
I mean, now, let's say it just took 1 minute for people to realize, and you ain't gonna realize that if you're going 75 on the fucking highway,
and you don't see it coming,
expecting everything to be clear, and then all of a sudden you're in the middle of a shitstorm.
Because in a minute, nobody could have responded,
Yeah, it's gonna take a minute to figure out what the fuck just happened.
Yeah.
That's a long bridge. How many are on that thing total when it does collapse?
Yeah, because it's not just like one of those where in 5 seconds you're from one end to the other.
You're on it for a bit, and then it's 3 or 4 lanes wide in each direction.
Each direction.
Man, if that would have gone, that would have been bad.
Oh my God, it would have been catastrophic.
Now, how big is this other bridge compared to that one?
It's small.
Yeah, it's
because
like,
it's not 70. I want to say it's a state highway. Bridge.
It was just like a 4-lane, I think.
Yeah, it's
going
like 2 each
way.
direction. Yeah,
so a lot.
You remember which,
but it's also
it scares me that bridge isn't going to last before or until they're done with.
You remember how big that bridge is when we went to Memphis?
Yeah, I know how big the.
She's talking about the one they're going to be on now.
She's talking about the
how
other
big that is. Yep.
It's south of there. They're routing some of them there. They're also routing some of them up to I-55, which is. The one south is fairly close. The one I-55 is I don't know how many miles, but it's miles north.
It would have been literally catastrophic.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was one of those things when the thing came across and they started showing the pictures on the news, you felt your stomach drop out because you're thinking, oh my God.
And with the gas prices skyrocketing and all this other bullshit going on, man, that's going to make the cost of everything go way up.
I'll tell you what, people need to see this and see it as a wake-up call.
Yes.
They just had a vote about infrastructure and it didn't pass. Our infrastructure in the United States is horrible.
Yep.
Horrible. The majority of those bridges are designed for 50 years of service. Dams. Think about how many dams there are in the state of Arkansas. You've driven over Greer's Ferry Dam, have you not?
Yeah.
Probably.
Little Red River up by Heber.
Probably, yes.
It's from the top of that dam to the riverside down there. 300, 400 feet.
Fuck.
So that's a lot of water. That dam was designed for 50 years of life. Now, granted, they maintain, they do maintenance on it and all that, but it's designed. And they're conservative and everything, but it's designed for 50 years of life.
Yeah.
I don't understand why stuff over here is so different from overseas, because just normal houses overseas, they're designed to last at least 100 years.
Yeah, they're required by code to be able to stand for 100 years.
Well, that's just like you go overseas, you go Japan. Especially...
we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, we're talking about Europe, though.
No, but I'm saying... all over the place, different places. I'm just using Japan as an example, especially now, since the earthquake, the tsunami, and the reactor failure. All of their houses are built to withstand general earthquakes.
Yeah, and
I mean,
but in Europe, that's why you see these houses that are from the fucking 17th century and they're still standing, and you are going to be lucky, man. Here in Arkansas, if there's a building that's more than 20 years old, they're looking to fucking tear it down. Well,
and another, part of what really bothered me about this whole thing, we heard, did y'all listen to the 911 call of the people calling in trying to get that?
Yeah, no.
That was a clusterfuck.
But you know what?
Trying to get what?
The bridge.
Trying to get the bridge shut
traffic
down.
shut down.
What?
I read about it, but I didn't hear.
The guys on the crew that were doing the bridge inspection, when they found that, they were calling. First, I guess they called Arkansas RDOT.
Right.
And then they were like, "This is a Tennessee." It's
And so then they were trying to call 911 to get Tennessee to close their side. And actually, Brandy, honest to God, I think that was a failure on both parts. Very definitely a failure on the dispatcher's part. I mean, they were just being so obtuse and just clueless. Well, can you give us some information?
And I don't think the people calling in were expressing the level of urgency.
No.
Yeah, I would have been like, you want information? Here's the information.
The bridge
this
is bridge
is going to fucking collapse because there's an enormous break in one of the fucking beams.
They were like the person with the crew that was doing the inspection. Mm-hmm. They were using jargon that they use. Doing bridge inspections.
We had a finding. Well, the person didn't understand what that meant.
Yeah. The person didn't understand what a finding meant. Yeah. I mean, literally, and it wouldn't have, if it was me, it wouldn't have taken me long to figure out this person doesn't have a clue what I'm talking about. Yeah. Look, the bridge is broke. Shut the fucking road down
before people are in the water.
So how come RDOT wasn't doing anything?
RDOT was.
Oh, okay.
They called RDOT first. That's who they were working for. There's actually an agreement between Tennessee and Arkansas because it's a joint deal.
Yeah, it's on both sides.
Arkansas is responsible for inspections, all that kind of side of it. Tennessee is responsible for maintenance. So they were the crew was actually working for RDOT. Mm-hmm. And of course RDOT started calling, state police and everybody else, and they were working on it. But I mean, it's going to take a minute to get that shut down. But Tennessee, the 911 dispatcher just wasn't getting it.
I don't think 911 was the way to go, honestly.
Yeah, I think
they may not have had any. They may not have had a contact number for.
Since they work for Arkansas,
Tennessee Department of Transportation.
There needs to be a system in place because you could tell that the 911 dispatcher
just didn't understand.
Did not understand what it was like. Emergent,
Yeah, and like I said, I think it was a failure on both parts.
Sides.
Because, like I said, the person calling was using jargon that they use when they're doing bridge inspections. We had a critical finding.
Well, what does that mean?
Okay, well, what's a critical? That person just okay, whatever.
Yeah, but I don't think you need to have a very high IQ to understand what critical is and what a finding is.
If somebody called me in and said we're doing a bridge inspection and I have a critical finding, I would have said okay.
To be fair, though, Amber, they get calls from people that need an ambulance because they have a hangnail.
Or that got attacked by a deer.
Yeah. Literally.
They got a bunch of bullshit, I'm sure.
So the person that was doing the calling should have definitely figured out that this person is not getting it.
Okay, need to dumb it down a little bit.
A
lot.
People are going to be in the water if you don't do something.
But, like I was saying, we need to understand that we're going to have to put some money into our infrastructure. Because guess what? These bridges, these dams, they're all over the country.
So who is it a state thing that has to pay? Is Arkansas have to pay since they're the ones?
It depends on what it is.
Yeah,
they don't do the maintenance?
It depends on what it is. And then seeing that gets weird too.
Was it because it wasn't being maintained? And does Tennessee pay?
Well, so here's the thing.
I'm sure they're going to try and pass some bucks.
Well, at least in part, they get federal assistance because I-40 is part of a federal roadway. Just like all of these interstates are all part of a federal transportation network.
But also...
So at least part of their money for infrastructure maintenance and all that shit comes from federal subsidy.
Also, though, and this is where it gets really just screwy and murky... Texas does not receive federal money for the roads.
They opted out
because they opted out and created their own manual.
Yep,
just like they did for the power grid.
Control. Just like they did the power grid. Yeah,
but they got really good roads.
But they do, but they don't get federal.
Sucks, but the roads are really nice.
Florida's the same way. I don't know what other states are.
Well, what's interesting is both of those states, neither one of them have an income tax.
Yeah.
We need to get on whatever plan they're on.
Yeah, no shit.
They're doing better.
Because I would like to keep 7% of my fucking salary.
Even locally, every year, I get a document from RDOT, Arkansas Department of Transportation, and it is what's called bridge finding.
Okay.
One is actually in Burns Park, so it's not a state bridge. But they go around, they do inspections on these smaller bridges, and they will send us a thing like if it doesn't have signs up for a weight limit, if it doesn't have this, doesn't have that, and we have to do it.
Okay.
we have to respond to it, and we have to fix whatever the issue may be.
Right.
And so, like I said, the jurisdiction is like back and forth, and they share it, and they pawn it off on somebody else.